We are on the record in case number 2025-00365, the application of Kentucky Power Company for approval of continuation of its demand-side management programs, authority to recover costs and net lost revenues, and to receive incentives associated with the implementation of its demand-side management programs, acceptance of its annual DSM status report, and all other required approval and relief. My name is Angie Hatton. I'm Chair of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. Joining me today are Vice Chair Mary Pat Regan and Commissioner Barry Mayfield. Commissioner Andrew Wood could not join us today, but we'll review the record and the video before making a ruling in this case. If anyone has your cellular telephone with you, please turn it to silent mode or turn them off at this time. Today's hearing is for the purpose of taking evidence in this matter. At this time, let's have entry of appearance of counsel, and please identify your witnesses when you stand. First for the applicant.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. My name is Ken Gish with Stites and Harbison for Kentucky Power Company, and my witnesses today are Lara Khan and Stevie Coburn.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
And for the interveners.
Morning, Your Honor. Byron Gary on behalf of the joint interveners. With me today is Stacy Sherwood, our only witness.
Good morning. And for staff.
Good morning. Whitney Safari and Mariah Tussey for staff.
Good morning. I've been advised that public notice has been given and filed in the record.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Any outstanding motions at this time?
I don't believe so.
I waited till you were getting a drink.
Sorry, yes, of course.
Okay. Is anybody here today for the purpose of giving public comment? I don't see anyone. I'll note for the record that comments may always be submitted on the PSC website at psc.ky.gov. If you do want to submit a comment electronically, make sure and include the case number, which is 2025-00365, on any comment that you file on the record. All right. Are you ready to call your first witness?
Yes, ma'am. Company called Lara M. Khan.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Khan.
Good morning.
Would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thanks. Please be seated. Tell us your full name and business address.
My name is Lara M. Kahn. My business address is 1645 Winchester Avenue, Ashland, Kentucky, 41101.
Okay, counsel.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Khan, could you please state your job title and employer?
Sure. My job title is Manager of Regulatory Services, and I'm employed by Kentucky Power.
And did you provide responses to data requests in this matter?
I did.
And did you provide testimony in this matter?
I did not, but under the direction of Ms. Coburn, I prepared Exhibit SNC1.
I was going to ask that you would prepare this case. And Your Honor, if I might have a little leave to ask a few additional direct questions of Ms. Khan, I think will help narrow the issues remaining in this case.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Khan, you mentioned you prepared Exhibit SNC1 in this case. You did the calculations for that, is that correct?
Correct.
And can you explain what Exhibit SNC1 is?
Sure. It calculates the DSM surcharge factors for both the residential and all other the residential and the commercial classes. And then it also provides our status reports.
And in Exhibit SNC1, the calculation that you provided for Ms. Coburn, the residential rate was 0.000633 kilowatts per hour. Is that correct?
Sorry, I thought it was 0.000663.
Possible. Is it 663?
Correct.
Okay, sorry, my apologies. And that resulted in a 9-cent increase on the average residential customer bill. Is that correct?
I believe so. I'm just going to Ms. Coburn's testimony to verify. Yeah, so Ms. Coburn's direct testimony on page 11, she discusses this being a 10-cent increase at a 1,300 kWh to the current rate.
And that rate on Exhibit SNC1 included the budgeted amount to provide the two new DSM programs that were approved in case number 2014-00115 for the year 2026. Is that correct?
So it included the budgets, the new 2026 budgets for HEAP and CESP, which were the new programs approved in 2024-115?
Yeah, sorry, it's 2015, sorry. It also included the amount that was of unspent budget for 2025, is that correct?
Yes, we requested in this case to shift those funds into this year due to the delay in the start in the programs.
And are you aware of whether the company would have been able to spend the combined 2026 and unspent 2025 budget on the HEAP and CESP DSM programs if the rate had been approved in January 1st or January 1st?
Yes, it's my understanding from Ms. Coburn that she discussed with our administrator to confirm that we would be able to spend that if the programs were able to consider it at the full year. We are now 6-7 months into the year, and I don't think we believe it can be done anymore.
And you mentioned that, because it's 6 months into the year, or almost into the 7th month of the year, that there's not enough time to spend the budget that the company had sought to spend in 2026. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you prepare any updates to Exhibit SNC1 for Ms. Coburn's rebuttal testimony?
I did. I prepared Exhibit SNC R1, which provides for the same factor calculation that was provided in her original direct testimony, but removes the shifted funds from 2025 for the CESP and HEAP programs.
And again, speaking just for residential, to make it a little easier, the rate then, if you removed the unspent 2025 budget, would be $0.000437 per kilowatt hour, is that correct?
Correct.
And that represents a rate reduction from the current DSM tariff rate, is that correct?
It does.
For residential? Okay. Is it the company's position that it would be more appropriate at this point to enact the rate that's in SNC R1 of $0.000437 per kilowatt hour for residential going forward?
Yes, we would recommend it be implemented on a going forward basis.
And the company is no longer seeking to recover the amount it proposed in Exhibit SNC1 when it filed the case last November, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that's because there's no more time to recover those, or to spend that money.
Correct.
Madam Chairperson, the witness is available for cross-examination.
Okay. Mr. Gary?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Khan.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. You?
I'm all right. I'm flying a bit by the seat of my pants this morning, to be honest. This is not quite what I had prepared for, so forgive me if I take a little bit longer to make sure that I get this all right. You spoke with Mr. Gish about SNC1 and SNC R1, both of which you prepared, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you also prepare SNC R2?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. And the calculations in those is based on information you received from Ms. Coburn, I believe, as far as like projections about how many participants could be served, or did you directly obtain or calculate that information?
No, Ms. Coburn provided the forecasted participation and budgets amount.
Okay. So if I had questions about those inputs, I'd best ask Ms. Coburn, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But the calculations that come out of that are directed to you?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I understood who's doing what here. In SNC R2, I think that you recalculated if the funds had been rolled over, what the charges would have been, correct?
Correct. There was an additional adjustment that needed to be made after reviewing Ms. Sherwood's testimony that identified the publication cost from 2024, 2025, 115?
24.
2024, 115, apologies, were left in there and needed to be removed.
Okay, because those were one-time costs.
Exactly.
Okay. And the recalculated costs, I think, if I have this right, are .000654 for residential customers
Correct.
and .000798 for commercial customers.
Correct.
Okay. And that's per kilowatt hour. Did you calculate average bill impacts based on that?
I did not.
Okay. Those both would have been increases over the current charges, correct?
Over the current, but a reduction to the proposed,
Okay.
the original proposed.
The original proposed that Mr. Gish went over with you a minute ago.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to examine the testimony of Ms. Sherwood in this?
I did. It's been a little while.
Okay. I'm just verifying the updated SNC R1 numbers. Forgive me, let me pull it back up. You got .000437 for residential and 000453 for commercial. Am I
Correct.
looking at the right spreadsheet if I have those numbers? Okay.
Correct.
Ms. Sherwood came up with slightly different numbers, it looks like. Specifically for residential, she calculated a bill impact of .000425. Do you have any awareness of why your number in SNC R1 is slightly different, slightly higher than Ms. Sherwood's?
No.
Not sure. Okay. You testified on direct with Mr. Gish that it's your understanding that the funds would be able to be spent, would have been able to be spent if approval had occurred by January 1st of this year.
Ms. Coburn could certainly speak to this
Okay.
more, but not necessarily January 1st, just earlier in the year.
Okay. But that was your understanding from Ms. Coburn.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll save questions about that for her. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, staff.
Hi, how are you?
Good, you?
Good, thank you. Given the suspension date for this proceeding was June 1st, has Kentucky Power already implemented the new proposed rates?
So I'm not sure that the suspension date was June 1st. We would have filed November 15th of 2025 and recommended a effective date of January 1st, 2026. Putting that aside, no, we did not put the new rates into effect.
So the 2025 rates are still what is being charged?
Correct.
Okay. If Kentucky Power is losing customers in its territory every year, is that true? Is Kentucky Power losing customers?
So yes, my understanding is that we have a customer decline, which was shown in our most recent base rate case. It's declining at a slower rate than it previously was.
Given that, can you explain the impact on the lost revenue calculations?
Sorry, let me go to the exhibit. Sorry, I don't have the background detail. My understanding would be that the dollar per kWh used in that calculation would change as a result of the loss, which would likely increase what per kWh dollar amount is used in it.
Should that be adjusted to use the current population for this calculation? Or when determining the lost revenue for this case, when was the last updated population considered?
It was utilized it would have probably been the September end month, which was the most recent month we would have had when originally filing the case.
And then for 2026 and 2027, would those be forecasted numbers?
No, it uses sorry, yes, I actually do believe there's some forecasting, but I don't think the population of residential customers changes in that forecast.
So it uses the same from 2025? Or
I believe so.
September of 2024 or September of 2025?
September of 2025. And I believe that to be the case, but I don't have the document inside available to look at, like the background information that's supplying it.
Okay, if we ask that in a post-hearing data request, would you be able to provide it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the interest-bearing account that was proposed by the interveners. The record shows that Kentucky Power has held over $500,000 of unspent and HEAP and CES funds due to implementation delays, Can you explain, like, by holding the ratepayer funds at zero cost, is the utility not receiving an implicit financial benefit at the ratepayer's expense that is not actually reflected in the surcharge calculation?
So there may be, but I would say that this account changes every single month, and there may be times when it's also, we are spending more than what is held in that, what we are holding in the account. It could go either direction.
What would be the times that you would be overspending, considering that there is a current surplus, and this is a 3-year pilot program, and you haven't been able to spend 2025 or 2026 yet? So if we're looking at just the pilot program, what examples would you be overspending in the account?
So previous to this year, we would have just had the T, so there would have probably been situations where it was just the T program, we had a 2026 budget, and a lot of times this program is being implemented based on KWH savings, not necessarily participation, so it could fluctuate based on that.
The $500,000 that's been unspent so far doesn't include the T program, it's just for the HEAP and the CES funds.
Sorry, I'm not sure if that's right. Is that the question? Is that,
Yeah, so I'm just removing the T program, when you're just considering an interest-bearing account for the HEAP and the CESP, would there be a time that you are holding ratepayer dollars at their detriment? So there's an implicit financial benefit at their expense.
I think it's like any other account with a rider with an over-under. It's going to go both ways. There's either an over or an under.
Does Kentucky Power have any suggestion on how to treat that if they don't impose or they don't implement an interest-bearing account? Is there any other suggestions where we could hold those funds or some way treat those funds that's not at the customer's detriment?
So I would say it would be both directions. So it's an over and under, and it's whether customers pay that or the company does, but we could certainly do a calculation that doesn't separate it into an account, but applies the company's currently approved weighted cost of capital.
I think that's it. Sorry, the rest of my questions were pertaining to the rollover, and I don't think that's relevant anymore. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Mayfield?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I just have, I may have misunderstood you when you said it is based on KWH participation versus participants. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So the net lost revenue calculation takes a energy savings amount, which comes from which is a calculation that says maybe there's 603 kWh for this program savings, but then it applies it against a per KWH dollar amount that is calculated to come to the total lost revenue for the company. And that was the
Okay.
per dollar KWH that I was referring to.
And then I'm looking at SNC 1, and I'm looking at the participation in the programs. To date, there are 30 customers on T.
So I would probably recommend Ms. Coburn talk about participation numbers. She'll
Okay.
be able to better address those questions.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
You're losing customers each year. Is that just because of general population loss in the region, or do you know of any other reason?
I'm certainly sure I knew the reason at some point at time, but I'm not sure I have the answer as it stands today.
You don't know of any other reason besides just the general population loss?
I do not.
And you said that the rate is slowing down.
The rate at which we've been losing customers has slowed down, yes.
How much has it slowed down, and like, do you have any information about when the slowdown started, or how many you're still losing?
I do not. I've seen a chart where I believe it was back to 2010, that showed kind of a graph in what the loss was, and it's evened out. I don't know, at least for residential, I don't know the particulars behind it.
Do you have that information for your commercial and industrial customers too?
I'm not sure.
I'd like to do a post-hearing down and see if we can find some of that information. Tell me the ways that you're able to plan for that when you're thinking about DSM, the fact that there may be fewer customers. Can you? Or is it just, it's gotten so slight that it's not as big a deal for you?
So I guess I've not thought about DSM in terms of what our residential or commercial base is for the programs. It's just about getting energy efficiency measures out to the customers that want it.
As far as your goals, though, for how many participants, will that change based on fewer customers?
I think Ms. Coburn could probably address that better, but no, I don't know that the population changes year over year, changing enough that it's a concern that we would have enough to participate in the programs.
Do you, as part of your job, to find the contractors?
No.
Again, Ms. Coburn, could be.
Sorry, I'll correct that. So when we did the RFP for the market potential study in 2024-115, I was a part of that RFP process in choosing the vendor. I was not involved in the selection of TRC as our administrator and T as the administrator for, Community Actions Agencies as administrator for T. That goes well before my time with the company, so I certainly wasn't involved with that either.
Recent federal cuts in LIHEAP have been a concern for your entire territory area. Do you think that will affect the number of people that will apply for these programs?
I wouldn't think so, but again, Ms. Coburn she advocates for LIHEAP, and she has willing to, or more than able to talk about that and our efforts to make sure that Eastern Kentucky continues to be funded at the level it's been funded. But no, I don't think so.
I'll ask her some of those questions then. Anything else from
No,
the direct?
No, Your Honor.
Any reason this witness can't be excused?
We have a couple questions that Stevie Coburn, but not to be excused, but we might have questions that could be deferred back to her later.
Is that okay if she sticks around?
Yes.
Ms. Coburn is my ride, so
That works. You may step down though.
thank you.
Thanks. call your next witness when you're ready.
Sure, the company, Kentucky Power calls Stevie Coburn.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thanks. Please be seated and tell us your full name and your business address.
Stevie Coburn, 12333 Kevin Avenue, Ashland, Kentucky, 41102.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Coburn, can you please state your job title and employer?
It's Kentucky Power, it's Distribution Operations Customer Support Manager.
That's a new job title from when you filed your testimony in this case, is that correct?
Correct.
Congratulations. Did you file direct testimony in this case?
Yes.
You filed rebuttal testimony in this case?
Yes.
And you filed responses to data requests in this case?
Yes.
And if I were to ask you the same questions that are in your direct testimony, rebuttal testimony, and that are in the data requests, would you give the same responses?
I mean, yes, the same ones from the time when I filled them out, yes.
Yes. Okay. Madam Chairman, the witness is available for cross-examination.
Okay, Mr. Gary?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Coburn. How are you?
Well,
So I'll admit some of what I had lined up to discuss with you may not be as directly relevant, but I do think it's important to get some of the information about how many participants you think are able to be served in the record, just so that we have that going forward. So some of my questions are based on the original application to roll over funds. I hope that's all right. Okay. Do you have in front of you your responses to data requests?
I do.
Okay. If you could, find the response to Joint Interveners 118.
Sorry, I have that.
Okay. In the second paragraph of the response to Part A, you state that the kilowatt hour goals can be achieved based on an average of 35 projects per month for heat, correct?
Yes.
Okay. 35 projects per month would have been roughly 420 in a calendar year.
I mean, I don't have a calculator to do the
Okay.
math,
Does that
but
sound about right?
again, I can't do the math in my
Okay.
head. I don't have a calculator, but I'll take your,
Okay, maybe a little simpler math then. The maximum amount, well, first, the response refers to the HEAP subcontractor's capacity with current staffing. Who is the HEAP subcontractor? Is that referring to TRC or a subcontractor of TRC?
so TRC is the administrator and they do have a subcontractor, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's maybe Earthwise or Earth something is in their name. It's in a data response.
Okay,
But they're the ones who actually go out and do the home energy assessment.
okay. So TRC, as the administrator, would TRC be the one receiving requests for those evaluations
Yes.
and then
there's a-
directing them to the subcontractor?
Yeah, there's a portal that the customers can go online to request, to apply for the program. And then those requests are forwarded to the subcontractor to contact the customer and schedule the home assessment.
So those aren't made directly to the subcontractor, they're made through TRC still? The requests?
Yes,
Okay. So it states that, back to your data response, with current staffing, Earth something can complete an assessment on 45 to 50 homes per month. Just using the 50 homes per month, that would add up to 600 in a year, correct?
yes.
Okay. But in your original direct testimony, the request to roll over the funds was based on an ability to serve 1,519 participants per year?
That sounds correct.
Can you refer to the
Sure.
testimony?
If you want to look at SMC 1, I think it's in the General Inputs tab. Looks like you've got a paper copy, so I don't know if a cell reference will be helpful, but cell G34.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a large spreadsheet, I probably don't even have it.
Okay.
But I do know it was a larger number. But I will clarify that as TRC is doing these home energy assessments, for both programs, actually, they've been focused more on the kilowatt hour savings more than the actual total number of participants. So, as an example, I can tell you that currently for 2026, we're at about nearly 50% actually for HEAP. We're at 52% of the savings that was budgeted for this year for the kilowatt hour savings, it's actually megawatt hour savings on the sheet. And then we're at about 46% for the CES program so far for 2026. Now, if you look at the actual number of homes or businesses that have received energy audits or participated in the program, it's lower than that percentage for the participant numbers, but the kilowatt hour savings were already at nearly 50%. But again, that's totally using the 2026 budget, which is what we've instructed them to do because this proceeding was still ongoing. There was no way for us to tell them to go ahead and use the combined savings, so they've had to plan their resources to use only the 26 budget. That's why we're saying at this point now, it's too far in the year to really shift gears and try to incorporate that entire budget. They've told me most recently, a couple weeks ago, that there's a chance they could potentially use a little bit or a portion of the 25 funds. They could maybe need some of that, but there's no way at this point that we could use that entire amount of money.
Okay. So the savings per kilowatt hour is what they're focused on. If you want to turn to JI 119, right after the one we were just talking about, you state that the net energy savings are based on savings determined by a per home savings assumption, correct?
Yes, I believe that's more, sorry, my book fell apart. I believe that's more of the T program. It's my understanding that for TRC, they are actually calculating based on what they're installing in the homes. That's if I'm understanding it correctly.
So if we're looking at the response, the question is, please detail in the lost revenues tab whether the net energy savings are based on savings determined by a per home savings assumption or actual installed measures. It doesn't refer specifically to the T program in the question, does it?
I'm sorry, I glanced down and saw B. I apologize. I missed.
No, I'm okay. That's okay. Are you okay?
Yeah,
Flew away. Okay.
B?
So the question.
I was looking in question B. When I glanced down, I saw the word T.
I thought you said
I thought you
AB.
said there was an E.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I was looking, when you mentioned the programs, I glanced down and I was skimming over
Yes.
A, and then I glanced at B, and it uses the word T program as well, and I was confused,
Yes.
thinking that it was referring to that for A and B.
Okay. So looking just at the question 119A, that doesn't refer specifically to the T program, right?
Yes, because down on the fourth paragraph, it says the net impacts are calculated in the same fashion for heat and CES.
Okay. So they do use a per home savings assumption then?
I believe for this calculation they do, but when they're providing information to us as far as what's actually been completed, I believe the information they're giving me on a monthly basis is based on the information what they're actually installing in the homes.
Okay. So TRC does provide, I assume it's the subcontractor provides to TRC the installed measures, and TRC does provide that information to you?
They don't necessarily provide me with each home and what was installed, but they give me, I have monthly meetings with them, and they provide an update every month as far as, what projects, like the total number of projects that have been completed, the total savings that has been recognized from those installations. And then they'll just give us a general update on the programs overall, where they've been doing marketing, what events they have, what they have in the pipeline. So we're working very closely with them to try to make these programs as successful as we can.
Okay, but that's not used for the lost revenues in the calculations here.
So we track the information, when they provide an invoice, it's input into the spreadsheet that Ms. Khan was referring to, and then it's tracked that way. But again, there's kind of a disconnect between her and I as far as what, I'll input information in and then she kind of helps track it.
Okay, so you're not sure what's used for the lost revenues?
I would think that it's the information that's provided by TRC, which
Okay.
again, my understanding is from them, it's the information for the heap and cess, what's actually being installed.
Okay, but that's not what you stated in this response, is it? You stated that it's based on a per kilowatt hour assumption based on a per home savings assumption.
I would really have to look back at the spreadsheet that I don't have to try to dig into it a little bit more, but I can only tell you from my understanding from TRC, unless I've, at some point misunderstood the way it's been explained, that when they install measures, they're capturing that.
Okay, they're capturing that. To your knowledge, is that used for the lost revenues though? That's the question. Do you know?
I cannot give you an absolute 100% answer. I believe it's being input into the spreadsheet and it would be used.
Okay,
As far as what is the calculations behind the scene on that spreadsheet, I'm not absolutely certain. I know for the T program, it's an assumption. I do know that.
okay. Well, going back to what you've seen so far this year, on HEAP, you said about 52% of the kilowatt hour target has been achieved so far.
Yes.
Okay. Is that information already in the record, or is that something could we request the information from TRC reflecting that?
No, it's information that I just obtained yesterday.
Okay,
An update. I requested an updated report.
sorry, just making a note. We'll be asking some questions for more information on that in post-hearing data requests, I'm sure. But if it's at 52%, they're not able to serve the full 1,519 based on the numbers. I'm assuming that means that the installed measures are actually having a greater kilowatt hour effect than was assumed?
That would be my assumption.
Okay. That sounds like good news. And the same for CESP at 46%. I think that's more, if they have already achieved 46% of the annual projected kilowatt hour savings, that probably means that the installed measures are projected to have a greater effect on a per customer basis than was projected.
Yes.
Okay. You did, in response to staff 3-5, have some information for 2026. Let me know when you've got that.
I'm there.
Okay. So for CESP, is that how you pronounce that acronym too?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. It looks like you've had, in the first quarter of 2026, roughly 9 participants.
Yes, that's, as of yesterday, that number is now up to 14 participants.
Okay, so in the
Oh.
first half of the year,
Yes.
you've had about 14 participants.
Correct.
So we're about halfway through the year. That would mean annualized about 28 expected in the year if the trend continues.
I mean, they have quite a few in the pipeline, so
Okay.
it could go up. I'm not gonna say like hundreds, but I do know they have quite a few in the pipeline, already. And, we're constantly marketing the programs.
Okay. Do you recall what the forecast was for 2026?
I believe it was 152 participants for the CES program.
Forgive me,
Again, if you
I'm
have,
back to SNC one, the original projection. I'm seeing 272 in the spreadsheet. Is the 150 from a different?
I actually pulled this information off of what was included in the 2024-00115 case.
Okay,
It's also included in something else, but I can't remember. It was in a response to staff. Can't remember which response it is.
okay. So somewhere between 150 and 272.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the number you're providing doesn't include the rollover.
Yes, this is from SNC one.
Right, yeah, no, but what I'm saying is if we're looking at only the 2026 budget, because again, we're no longer requesting the rollover. So if we're looking at only 2026 numbers, it was 152 participants.
So that should be the number that's in SNCR1. Okay, yes, now we're on the same page. So that's without the rollover, projecting 152, but so far in the first half of the year, you've had 14 participants?
Yes, but again, we're at about 52% of the budgeted savings.
46% for CESP, right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay,
I
just making
apologize,
sure.
looked at the wrong one.
Okay, so those 14 measures must be having a lot greater effect in kilowatt hour savings than was projected, I assume.
If I recall, we've had a couple of large projects
Okay.
included in that.
And then looking at PSC 3.5 again, so far, HEAP, you had 11, 7, and 44 participants in the first 3 months respectively. Do you have an updated number?
I do, there's been 111 assessments completed for HEAP as of yesterday. We've had 10 rebates, and we're at, if I did my math correctly, about 52% of the savings, the energy savings.
Just making sure I have this down right. You had 111 assessments and 10 rebates so far?
Yes,
Okay, so you haven't had any additional rebates since the 10 listed in PSC 3.5?
not that I was made aware of.
Okay. And with those 10 rebates, as opposed to the 1,519 participants projected,
Well, again, that number would shift. It would go down to 958 participants.
so 958 projection, but you're already at
111.
52% of the savings?
Yes,
Those must have been some very large savings per rebate then, I assume.
I would assume.
Okay, but you don't get information from TRC on what actually was installed, you said?
No, I have not been, just to clarify, so because we're such a small utility, the way we're kind of doing this is, I'm interacting with TRC, but we also have another coworker of mine that is kind of the main point of contact with them as well. I try to join pretty much all the meetings, but if they've shared information with him that hasn't been shared with me, that's completely possible. But as far as I know, I haven't seen that information.
Okay. So you're basically just given a savings number in kilowatt hours, to the best of your knowledge?
The update meetings that I'm on, that's what they're providing with me. They're giving us kind of the number of jobs that have been completed for the programs, the kilowatt hour savings, and then they'll go through and provide like the number of pipeline, if they have any questions, they'll ask questions, that we'll review kind of the marketing plan for the upcoming, next couple of months, what they have planned and how it's been going as far as visits that they're doing, calls they're making, just an overall update on the program.
But they don't discuss the actual measures being installed?
I mean, occasionally they'll go over one specific project. If they have one large commercial project, they may go over it and give us an update. But as far as to say, it was this many lights, I don't recall that necessarily. They just give us a high-level overview.
Okay. And are those reports provided to you guys in writing, or are those just on calls?
They're on calls. There's generally a PowerPoint. I provided one
Okay.
in one of the previous requests.
Right. So on HEAP, do you have updated numbers also on spending so far this year?
Let's see. I believe we're at around 100,000 or just under 100,000 in incentives that have been spent.
Okay. If we asked for exact info, could that be provided in a post-hearing data request?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what portion of that spend is program spending so far?
I don't have it broken out like that.
Okay, and you don't have it broken out by like marketing and administration?
No, I don't.
But that's information you provided before the hearing, so I assume in a post-hearing data request, you might be able to provide that breakdown as well?
We would just have to ask TRC for the information. I don't
Okay.
have it with me right currently.
Okay. Do you know how many, sorry, I actually did have a bug flying around in front of me. Do you know how many customers have, okay, no, we already went over that, sorry. Do you know how many are in the pipeline? That's where I was, sorry, for HEAP.
I don't have an exact number. I do know that I received an email probably a week and a half ago, and they just had, there was a new email that had gone out, so they were sending me an update on it. They'd received 15 requests, I think within a day of sending that email out. So there were several requests that had just came in, but again, that was about a week and a half ago. They had pretty much finished the pipeline. They'd gone through and completed all the requests from the pipeline. So we were doing some additional marketing, some extra emails that weren't scheduled to try to increase participation.
Okay. That's the primary method of marketing for HEAP, the emails?
That's one of the primary ways. Us in turn, Kentucky Power, we posted on social media. I've received, personally, because I get emails where I'm a customer as well. I think I've received 2 emails in the last week
Okay.
about the program, 2 separate, emails about the program. Then we have our call center agents are aware of the program, to offer it to customers, if they're calling in with questions, and it seems like it would be something that would benefit them. Also, like our local customer service team that I work with, we'll discuss it with customers. And we have a lot of in-person community outreach that we do, and generally at those types of events, we'll try to have literature available for customers, and that's one of the things that we'll have available to discuss with them and say, hey, this is a good program that, might benefit you. I was at one for seniors a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the things that we provided, and, actually spoke to a couple of individuals about the program.
Okay. So most of the outreach, it sounds like, is done by Kentucky Power, either through emails, at community events, or through call centers, customer service?
For Kentucky Power, we'll do it that way, social media, emails, or in-person events generally, or call center agents. And then TRC has their marketing. They do just direct calls to customers. We're providing lists to them as far as customers that we think would benefit, high usage customers that may benefit from this type of service. We'll provide information to them, and they'll reach out to those customers directly, along with their other marketing plans.
What about community action agencies? Have you made them aware? Are they doing any outreach to customers, say when LIHEAP funds run out or they're unable to serve them?
They are aware of the programs because I do a training with Community Action each fall before the Heart and Thaw program starts, so they are aware. As far as, I cannot remember, no, I did. I left handouts with them and it did discuss the program, so there is literature there that they should have. Nobody's reached out to me requesting additional literature.
Okay.
But they should have literature on the programs as well.
Okay. And as far as the inquiries to TRC, do you know if they track how people found out about the programs? Is there like often when you call, there, how did you hear about us, sort of thing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And then some of the same questions on CESP. Do you know how much has been spent so far this year?
I believe it is in the $40,000 to $50,000 range.
Okay. Would an exact number be available in a post-hearing data request?
Yeah, we would just have to request information from TRC.
Okay. And they'd have information on how much of that was program versus marketing or administration?
Yes, they should be able to provide that.
Okay. And how many customers did you say so far in 2026 have been served?
For the CESP,
For CESP, sorry.
14 is what I'm showing.
Okay. Do you know how many are in the pipeline?
I do not have an exact number. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably in the 10 to 20 range based on the last call we had. It seemed like they had quite a few in the pipeline,
Okay.
or at least people who seemed interested in projects.
Okay. And then, do you have information on T? How much has been spent so far this year?
I do. I will state that I don't have all the information for June from all of the agencies, but for May and for one agency, for June, there's been 34 homes that have received weatherization, which is about 36% of the participation. And the budget is a little over 162,000, which is about 44%, if I did my math correctly. But again, we're almost halfway through the year, and there's two agencies that I haven't received June invoices from.
Okay. At the time of the initial data requests, there was the responses anyway, there was a wait list at the community action agencies of 74 T-eligible customers. Does that sound right?
That sounds correct. They pretty much always have a wait list.
Okay. Do you have a more recent update on the state of the wait list?
No, I do not.
Okay. Would that be something that not with you, but that would be available to the company?
I mean, I would have to ask
You'd have to ask
each
them.
of the agencies for an updated wait list, but, as I said, they always have a wait list because with the type of, with those programs, you have so many customers who can't necessarily immediately qualify for those programs due to the state of the home. And so they will put them on the wait list to try to see if there's funding that's available to help them be able to qualify for the actual program. And then also, based on their staffing levels, they have a certain number of weatherization, there's a certain number of homes that they can weatherize in a month. Let's say it's, 6 homes or whatever. So, they constantly have a wait list.
Okay. Mostly due to staffing levels then, it sounds like?
Well, it's a combination. They have a certain number of staff that they keep to complete that work. There's only, with the T program, those are pretty in-depth projects that they're doing. Generally, most all of them have some sort of health and safety or structural work that has to be completed first before the weatherization can even be completed. Most of them receive a new HVAC system, so I've never asked, but I would imagine it's something that probably takes them at least a couple of days to complete. It's more in-depth for those homes. So they have a certain number of staff who completes the work, and then there's only so many days in a month to complete the work.
Okay, so you don't have any other limitation to how many could be served besides the staffing levels at the community action agencies?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any other,
And time in a month?
right, I'm not aware of any other issues.
Okay. And the average wait time, at least as of the data request, was 66 days between an audit and installation of measures. Does that sound right?
I think that's from when the applicant first contacted Community Action and when the work is actually completed.
You're right. I'm sorry, I missed a word there. That's between the time a request for an audit comes in and the installation of measures. But 66 days sounds about right.
Yes, for the ones that actually receive. So whenever Community Action sends the paperwork in for a T customer, it'll show on there when the customer first contacted them and when the work is completed. So as far as someone being on the wait list, if I couldn't tell you how long a specific customer's been on a wait list if they haven't actually received the benefit of the program, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
The information I'm providing is customers that received T assistance.
So some people are also unable to be served?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there are some homes that, there's just too much work and it doesn't meet the measures required to make the home energy efficient, so they cannot qualify for the program.
Okay. But in 2025, there wasn't any of the community action agencies didn't spend any of the weatherization readiness fund, did they?
That is correct.
There was 15,000 available for that work that wasn't spent.
That is correct.
Okay. So there's both a wait list, customers that are unserved, and leftover funds, it sounds like?
Well, so with the what you're referring to, the Weatherization Readiness Fund, we had also, Kentucky Power had given a grant to Community Action for $1 million to assist with those same types of issues over a 5-year period. And so those agencies had not only those funds, but the 15,000. And again, there's only so many homes that they can help throughout the year. And that fund, that 15,000, just wasn't able to be used last year. I know this year they've used it on a couple of homes, but it is something that I'm still constantly, every time I talk to them, because I meet with them fairly regularly as well, I'm mentioning to them that, we need to use both of these funds. You need to incorporate this Weatherization Readiness Fund along with the grant, along with any of the DOE funding, because the DOE also has Weatherization Readiness funding. And that's what our funding, the T program is supplemental to the DOE's Weatherization Assistance Program, along with their Weatherization Readiness Program.
A lot of acronyms, I'm sure.
Yes.
So I guess I'm still just stumped as to why there are customers being turned away with there's so many funds and leftover funds even at the end of the year, it sounds like.
I mean, I wouldn't say there was a ton of leftover funds last year for the T program. But again, what I'm saying is there are some homes that are in such poor condition that they cannot address it. I mean, if the home has, let's say, $30,000 worth of repair work that needs to be completed, it needs a brand new roof, it needs new windows, it needs, a large amount of work to be completed to even try to make it energy efficient, they don't have that type of funding to help those types of homes. Typically, the invoices that I see for the T program, usually the total work that's completed is, I would guess, between $10,000 and $15,000 is the total amount that's put into the home. So again, if there's a house that's in extremely poor condition, it's just not able to be served.
They wouldn't even try. For homes like that, they wouldn't do what they can.
No, because then you can't make it, so my understanding is they have certain guidelines that they have to meet as far as, there's certain numbers that the house has to reach as far as energy efficiency measures, like it has to reach a certain number in order to qualify for the program. So if the home is in such poor condition that the work that they're gonna do isn't gonna meet that number, then they can't do that. They can't put the funds towards that.
Where do those qualifications for the program come from? Who
Well, it's
sets
the
those?
DOE's program, so,
That's the federal dollars.
yes.
Do you know what those numbers are? Or could we,
I do not have them. No, I do not.
And do these residential programs apply to rental property as well as homeownership?
So a lot of times, it can be challenging with a rental property because the homeowners may not want to sign the paperwork that's necessary in order for a customer to qualify, at least for the DOE and like the T program. I know for our HYPE program, we don't have any restrictions that you have to be the property owner.
It would be, if there's a prohibition, it would be on whoever owned the property, is what you're saying.
Yes, yeah, there are, that's my understanding with the federal program, unless I'm not remembering correctly. I'm not an expert on that one, but I believe that the homeowner has to sign off on that, so it can be a challenge if someone's renting.
Also, I understand the kilowatt hour savings that you emphasize, but also that seems to me, and I'm looking for direction, that, I mean, that's, I understand that aspect, but also when you consider that the benefit of these programs are also in the process of making a home either more comfortable, livable, and cost savings, more affordable. So how do you balance those two?
So, I mean, with the new program, with the HYPE program, the only restriction that we have for residential customers is that you have to have electric heat. So any of our customers who want to apply for the program can qualify for the program as long as they have electric heat. And when they apply for that program and they schedule the home energy assessment, then one of the contractors will come out and they will do an energy audit on the house. And while they're there, they will install some free measures. And there's quite a few different things that can be installed, like it's like low flow shower heads, faucet aerators. You can even have like a wrap put on the water heater. There's some other like caulking and duct sealing work that can be done. And all of that is done completely free. And my understanding is, you know, if someone would receive pretty much all the measures, it's about $600 worth of work that's being completed, completely free to that customer. And then if they would choose to later do other measures, maybe they want to have insulation put in, or they're having issues with their heat pump or their HVAC unit, and they replace that, then they can qualify for a rebate. Again, this is for the new HYPE program. So again, that's just having customers apply for the program. We've, as I've explained before, we've done the very best that we can, in my opinion, trying to reach out to customers in a lot of different ways. And I didn't even mention, I just thought, you know, we'd also, when the programs first came out, we'd done some radio ads and some news, like commercials as well. Again, those aren't like an every week thing. Those are more special. But again, we've done what we can. And then with the T program, the customers, they don't have any charges. You know, all of that work's done, but that is more for the low income. And because, like I said, there can be challenges within a home that just make it to where, unfortunately, they can't qualify. But for any of those either of those programs, when the assessment's done, the customer, you know, they walk through and they explain stuff to them and they tell them, you know, you can do this and this will help you save energy. And they're kind of given education as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
the $600 worth of free work, who pays for that?
It's paid for through the program.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything further?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Gay.
Thank you very much. No, that was enlightening for me. Following up on Commissioner Mayfield's question about the benefits of the program, so you've talked a lot about the kilowatt hour savings, and a large amount apparently is being achieved per heap customer, say, correct? But there's a benefit also to reaching as many customers as possible, isn't there?
Yes, and as I said, we've tried our very best as far as marketing the programs, us and TRC combined, to make customers aware and encourage customers to utilize the programs.
Okay.
So it's not like we're, looking at it and saying that we're, over 50% savings and we're not going to worry about it for the rest of the year. We're continuing our marketing plans that are already in place. And as I mentioned earlier, there were additional emails that were just sent out to encourage participation. I have been told by TRC, though, that this time of the year is a time when, it's not uncommon for the program to slow down a little bit. You have people that are going on vacation, kids are home from school, and a lot of people just aren't necessarily comfortable or have time. Maybe they're really busy in the summertime and don't have time to have someone come in and do that type of assessment. But we're still continuing to market the programs and do our very best to encourage customers so that we can continue to assist as many customers as possible with these programs, because I do think they're all three very good programs that are very beneficial to customers.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And to that end, has the company evaluated how effective the outreach it has done is, or alternative ways to accomplish better or more outreach, since you're falling short on those customer numbers?
As far as, I've seen the information from TRC regarding like the emails that they're sending out, and the open rates on the emails are pretty good, from what I recall. I think it's probably higher than maybe the average open rate, from remembering some information from a couple years ago as far as like in emails that Kentucky Power sends out to customers. But again, we're open to suggestions if you have a suggestion on a way to market differently, but I feel like we've taken a broad approach to marketing. It's not like we're just doing one thing and we're sticking to one thing. As I explained, in the beginning we did the radio and the media ads, but those are very costly, to do something like that. So generally we try to do, ads that, can reach a lot of customers. There's, social media, there's the emails. We also did some direct mail to some customers. I believe that was the end of last year, kind of going into the winter season to get people to sign up. And then again, just kind of the word of mouth as far as, customers telling other customers about it, or us telling customers, whether it be over the phone, in person, at all the different events. And we try to participate in quite a few community events throughout the year. And actually, I've got some scheduled here probably later in the summer where we're going to go into schools and provide information at schools. And that's one of the things that's going to be included at some of the Readiness Fest that some of the local schools host, so that people who are coming in to receive maybe help getting school supplies for their children will have this information to give to them, along with other customer programs that we offer. So we're trying various different means to reach customers where they're at in a way that's good for them, but to give them this information so that they will participate in these programs.
Thank you. Returning to the T program, you mentioned that some homes aren't served because they don't meet the DOE guidelines for their programs.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay. Those guidelines don't necessarily apply to the $1 million grant from Kentucky Power Company, do they?
It doesn't, but again, the community action agencies, yes, it was $1 million, but it was over several years, so they still have a budget for that year. So I don't believe they're going to take $20,000 or $30,000 and apply it to a singular house. They're looking at their budget. They have a way that they have to budget out to extend those funds to be able to help as many customers as possible.
Okay. But there were leftover funds at the end of the year, correct?
Yes, but the funds that you're talking about, those were limited to $1,000 per home.
Okay.
In the case 2024-00115, that was what was proposed, and that was what was approved. It was $15,000 to assist 15 homes at a maximum of $1,000 per home. So again, that's, if you have $30,000 worth of repairs, that's a small amount to go towards that. But I do understand what you're saying, and again, I've discussed this with Community Action multiple times, and stressed that those funds need to be used in combination with the grant funds, which are a little less restrictive, and the DOE weatherization readiness funds.
Okay. And the homes that get turned away are generally the ones in the worst condition.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Those are probably also the highest use homes then.
They could be, yes, depending on how they're heating the home.
Well, they have to use electric heat, right? That's one of the qualifications.
Not for T.
Not for T, that's just for heat.
Yes.
Okay,
T has a limited program for non-electric heat. You have to have a electric water heater, and you have to use a certain, it's like 700 kilowatt hours over certain months, and I believe it's November to March, but I would have to look at the tariff, honestly.
Okay. Moving on to CESP, and the contractors that are able to do that work. According to the company, TRC had one participating contractor through 2025. Is that correct?
That sounds correct. I know that they've onboarded additional contractors this year. As far as the total number and which programs they're helping with, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. So you don't know how many contractors have been onboarded for CESP?
Not for, no. I know there's been quite a few. I believe they have probably in the range of 10 to 12 contractors now. But again, I don't know that the breakdown between the two programs, or they could have contractors that work on both programs. I will say that last year with CESP, where it was a rollout over 3 years for the different incentives, last year was lighting only. And some of the projects that were approved and received incentives, they were in-house installed. So if you have a company, you may have maintenance staff who can go ahead and complete that work for you rather than have to have a contractor come in and do that work. So I know that was the case for last year, and then this year is HVAC, so I would guess that this year is probably not necessarily in-house, but I don't know the exact number of contractors.
Okay. You said 10 to 12 range. That's for HEAP and CESP combined?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen some, I recall seeing something where they had some names listed, and it seemed like probably about that many on a page.
Okay. And you don't know how many of those do that HVAC work that you mentioned?
No, I mean, they didn't have it. I just saw the names of the companies. I didn't have it broken down based on the work that was completed. There was some information provided in a data response, but I couldn't tell you which number off the top of my head.
Okay. The only data I have is the single contractor in 2025, so if you believe there's updated info, that might be helpful. Do you know what the process is for becoming a trade ally?
There's an online portal that they can fill out and provide information. And again, this was already provided. This information was given in a data response.
I do recall that, and are there requirements for being insured and bonded and things
There
like
are.
that?
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't meet those qualifications as a contractor, but you're able to do this work, can you apply for a refund after the fact for work you've had done by a non-trade ally partner?
So for like the lighting, yes, there were lighting, there were customers who applied for lighting rebates that didn't use, a contractor. Those were in-house completed jobs.
What if you use a contractor, say for an HVAC system, that isn't a trade ally?
So my understanding from TRC is, and again, that was in my response, they encourage contractors to become part of the Trade Ally Network. They're not required, but there is To be in the trade ally, there is specific information that you have to provide. So my understanding is like, they have a set of contractors, so if someone was to reach out to them and say, I'm interested in having this work done, they can say, okay, in your area, we have this, this, and this, who is available to help you with that. If I'm understanding correctly, those people are part of the trade ally, and they've gone through the steps to prove that. Now, if someone were to have, a company that they work with generally complete that work, as long as all the paperwork is completed and everything meets the requirements, as I understand it, they would qualify for the rebate.
Okay. So the difference would be if a trade ally performed it, they would be paid directly by TRC as opposed to the customer paying them and then getting a rebate? Or do they still have to pay the trade ally up front and then apply for a rebate?
So my understanding is the rebate can be given to either the contractor or the customer based on how, the information was done, but the customer is still going to have to pay for it. However, they work it out between themselves and the contractor.
Okay. Is the rebate able to be, so you said the rebate can go to either the customer or the contractor. Is that the case only for trade allies, or will TRC give a rebate to a contractor who is not a trade ally?
I'm not certain.
Okay. In response to one of the staff data requests, 2.4, you probably don't even need to refer to it, but you mentioned evaluation, measurements, and verification plans that the company has.
Yes.
Okay, have you taken any steps on that yet? I think an
No.
RFP is supposed to go out sometime this year.
It is. As far as, we haven't started the RFP process yet. We will soon, I believe, believe we had said we would do that after a year, so we were planning on doing it in Q3 of this year. I have some templates that I've received to review for that process, but we haven't actually started the RFP process yet.
Okay, is the plan still to get that RFP out in the next quarter?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll probably start on it in the next couple of weeks, actually.
okay. Returning to the interest-bearing account that staff asked Ms. Khan about, in your rebuttal, you state that there would be additional administrative costs to holding funds in an interest-bearing account. Why would that be?
That's what our accounting department explained. We have no other surcharge that has an interest-bearing account within Kentucky Power or AEP. So there would have to be a new process set up, and there would be, like maintenance requirements. Someone would have to monitor that and track that information, so there would be costs involved.
So it would be like internal staffing costs primarily?
That would be my assumption. I'm not sure.
Okay,
That's just simply what our accounting department, how they explained it to us.
that's just what accounting told you, that there would be administrative costs.
Yes, they explained that there would be costs involved.
Did they explain what those estimated costs might be?
No. Again, we don't have any of these. No other company within AEP has this requirement to have an interest-bearing account.
Just one moment. No further questions, thank you.
I've rearranged a lot of my questions after the rollover discussion and from Mr. Gary's questions. So if you've already answered this, I apologize, just let me know. I have a couple general questions about TRC. You mentioned that one of your coworkers is mainly in charge of meeting with them and discussing. Who is that coworker?
His name's Ryan Lake. He's an external affairs manager.
And he didn't prepare any of the data responses or any testimony in this?
No, I corresponded directly with TRC. And as I stated before, I meet with them most of the time. But he has met with them a few times without me, just because I have other job duties as well. And so that's why, we brought him in to help, in case I wasn't available and there was questions that came up. But generally, anytime they meet, I try to be at all of those meetings, and we copy each other on correspondence so that we're both aware of what's going on.
You mentioned that you received an updated report before today for TRC based on participation.
Yeah, it was just an email, but yeah.
How often do they provide you those updated reports?
So we have a week or a monthly call where they provide us with some information. And then the information that was given to me yesterday was because I had specifically explained to them that we had this hearing and that I would like to have updated information.
So there's no policy that they provide, a written policy, a written update or report that gives participation and the amount of the budget that's been spent?
So as I just stated, they provide us updates every month. We have a standing call with them where they give us an update every single month.
Via meeting, right? There's no policy for written reports.
So they give us invoices every month, and then we have the meeting. And in the meeting, they do a presentation, and then they provide us the presentation after the fact, which has the information in it. But as far as, I'm not aware of, I haven't read the contract. I wasn't a part of the contract when they were selected as a vendor for us, so I don't know if there's any sort of guidelines within that that's written, what they have to do. But I can just say what they have given to us. Anytime we've requested information, they've been very receptive in giving it to us.
So at any point, if say in the pendency of a case, if staff asks for participation number, the amount that's spent, would Kentucky Power have that on hand, or we'd have to reach out and ask them to provide that?
Depends on the timeline. So, if you're asking for something that's as of the end of May, we probably have that information. If you're asking other than, I just requested the information, especially for this, I may not have it. It depends on the timing. And that's the same thing with Community Action. Community Action sends me invoices generally so for June, I would usually receive those invoices by July 15th or 20th, somewhere in that. So there's a couple of week delay in when I receive the information. So it just depends on the timing.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to understand the whole process from looking above at it. What would you say Kentucky Power's level of involvement with TRC is? Would Kentucky Power ever ask TRC or tell them we must have 10 HVAC contractors, or is that all at the discretion of TRC?
I mean, we've worked closely with them and we collaborate with them. So if we had a concern about a specific, number of contractors, we could reach out. But again, I'm not a specialist in this field, and I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many HVAC contractors are available in the Ashland area or in the Pikeville area to be able to say, you have to do this, because I don't know what's out there and available. So we look at them as the, the expert in their field.
Sorry to interrupt you. So who's making that decision then? So are you just asking them how many contractors there are? Are you setting a standard for them? Are you expressing the concerns about not having enough contractors?
No, I haven't had any concerns with the number of contractors because they've communicated with us what they're doing and explained, leading up to 2026, they'd explained, we're working to onboard additional HVAC contractors because that's going to be an additional measure in the commercial program for 2026. So I haven't had any concerns. If we have concerns, we will address them with them, but thus far I haven't had any concerns.
And just to have a full grasp on this, back to my original question, so it is pretty much at the discretion of TRC. They are making those decisions and then just informing you. And if you would have an issue, you would then discuss it with them at that point.
Yes, because we hired them as the administrator because they're the expert in their field.
What discussions have you had with them about not spending the allotted budget?
Again, it's a matter of participation. We talk to them about participation. We talk to them about, the marketing. How's the marketing going? What additional things are you guys doing on your side? We provide them customer information on our side to try to market the plans. But, again, this is a customer program and the customers have to choose to participate in the program.
actually have a lot of questions about the marketing that I can skip to. So in your testimony on page 7, and I know you talked about this a little bit, but I would like to get like more specifics. You generally list out a few things. Can you explain what issuing news releases actually entails?
That would be our communications manager writing up a news release and providing it to local newspapers and media outlets in hopes that they would pick it up and report on it. Again, that's not something that we can't force anyone to provide it, but, that's what we'll do. We do that with a bunch of announcements. I mean, the same as other organizations do. If they have an announcement, they'll provide it to the media in hopes that they'll report on it.
How many of those have been issued in 2026?
For these programs?
Yes.
I do not know. Again, that's
Who would know that?
communications. I would have to request that from our communications manager.
Okay, if I asked that in a post-hearing data request, would you be able to provide it?
I can request it.
Do you know where they are released? Like what newspapers, what areas?
It would be throughout our service territory.
In all available newspapers?
I don't know if she gives it out to all available newspapers. I would, if I had to guess, I don't know if she's done any more news releases this year. I know she did one because generally when we do a news release, it's for, like something that's a substantial change, I guess I would say. So I believe she did one last year when the programs first were rolled out. I'm not aware. I would have to ask if there's any for this year.
So these are infrequent releases?
The news releases, yes. Yeah, generally that's only if it's something, like I said, something substantial that we think is newsworthy.
And if we added the frequency of the releases and how many, would you also be able to request that for the post-hearing data request?
For like news releases?
Yes, and specific to all 3 programs.
Yeah, I mean, I can request it.
What does updated website content entail?
We updated our website to include information about the programs. It wouldn't have been on there prior to the approval, and so now we have web pages dedicated to energy savings that include information about the 2 new residential and commercial programs.
And as it stands today, does that list any of the 2026 goals?
What do you mean, the goals?
I think that the commercial one, increase from lights to HVAC work, is that available on the website?
Yeah, that information is, what is available to customers is included.
Okay. Is 2027 already included as well?
I don't recall.
What about social media post? Kentucky Power is the one posting from their social media. Is that correct?
Yeah, we post on, we have social media that we post on. I'm not aware that TRC is posting anything on, as far as social media, but we do.
What social platforms do you have?
I know we have Facebook, and I believe we have Twitter, and the X one now, whatever. I think there's at least 3.
Okay. Would you be able to provide the specifics of the social media accounts in a post-hearing data request? Because I'm also interested in how frequent those posts occur. Do you know how frequently they are posting about these three programs specifically?
No,
And who would be in charge of that?
our communications team is. I mean, we have a general plan that she follows, but, we're constantly posting information, and our plans can even change. So, for example, I know yesterday, I received an email on my personal email, and it was talking about how hot weather's coming in and how to stay safe during the heat. And one of the things that it talked about was the residential program. There was a link to where you could learn more about that to make your home more energy efficient and comfortable.
So the posts tie back into the relevant things that are occurring.
Yes.
What is the general plan for the posting?
For social media,
Yes.
I mean, as far as if it's posted once a month or twice a month, I don't have that information because our corporate communications manager, she has also worked with TRC's marketing contact. They work closely together so that if TRC has a new email that they're planning, they will mock the email up, and then they'll get with our corporate communications manager to make sure that she's signed off on that. And again, I'm generally aware of this stuff because of the updated meetings, but I don't necessarily review everything and approve everything because we have, we have a corporate communications manager and they have a marketing manager, and they coordinate together so that the programs are marketed and everyone is agreeing on, what is being done.
So whose authority is it, like the frequency for the posts, just as it pertains to social media? Who decides like how many posts will be made? Would that just be the communications department?
Yeah, it would be, we have, so at Kentucky Power, we have a communications manager and another communications consultant. I forget her title. We have two people that focus on the communications. One is external, one is internal.
Has there been any conversations between you and those individuals about increasing the frequency of posts? Since social media is generally like free to post, it's not like the news release or the radio.
I haven't because, again, I've seen frequent posts. I mean, I don't daily, but probably once a week I'll scroll through our social media and, I'm seeing it posted frequently. So I haven't had any concerns that it needs to be posted anymore. And again, we tend to kind of post what's relevant. So, I mean, they have different things that we'll post about. I know we have like safety information that we post about. We talk about, our average monthly payment plan. Leading up into wintertime, we'll be talking about our heart and thaw programs. If a customer needs help, we're here for payment arrangements or extensions. There's all kinds of different things that we talk about. So, it's not like she's posting about one, all of those things every single day. They have a plan in place and what's posted, and it's already, out there kind of for, I don't know the time frame. I don't know if she does it for a month or a quarter in advance, but we have that information, kind of the plan in place, and then we can adjust it as needed. So if we have storms coming in, we may be posting about storms. So again, it varies. It can change, but we continue with the plan, and we just incorporate in anything that's like emergent that's coming in that needs to be addressed immediately.
Can you explain what you mean by when you say like we have a plan in place? What does that mean if you're not giving them a goal or amount to a post about the DSM programs? What
So
does it
I'm meaning
mean?
that like our communications team has a plan. Like they have a plan of what is going to be done, communicating in general with our customers over all the different topics that we would need to address with them. There's a plan in place. And this is a small part of that plan, along with all of the other topics that I just discussed. So all of that's incorporated into the plan to be able to communicate and educate our customers.
Do you know what the level of engagement is on the post as it pertains to DSM only?
I do not.
You mentioned in your testimony on page 7 that customers receive bill inserts explaining the programs as well. Have those been sent out for 2026?
I don't know.
If I asked that in a post-hearing data request, would you be able to provide that?
Yes, I can request the information from communications.
So communications is also in charge of whether or not that goes out in the bill?
On the bill messages?
Yeah.
Yes, because again, we have, you have 12 months in a year, so we have certain bill messages, and there's a couple of required bill messages, so I can think of 2 months specifically that we have required bill messages that have to go out at a certain time, and so you can only include those on that month. And then there's other months where they have to work in, we always do like a heart and thaw leading up into the winter time, so there's specific things that are done each month.
You also mentioned customer emails, and I know that you said that you personally received those too. Do you know what the frequency of those are as it pertains to the DSM program?
I would say that the Kentucky Power ones are probably, if I had to guess, once a month. Again, the TRC ones, like I said, I know I've received 2 in the last probably week or less, last few days,
How
that
do you
discuss the programs.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. How do you sign up or receive the emails?
We have, you can either go online and do that, or you can call in and request. So we have alerts, and it's either text alerts, emails.
So if you've generally signed up for those with anything for Kentucky Power, you would also receive the DSM alerts?
Yes, yeah, so when a customer applies for service, we'll request their email address, and if they provide it, then they'll automatically be added to the list to start receiving emails.
You also mentioned in your testimony that there are specific portal messaging. Can you explain what the portal messaging looks like?
I believe what that's referring to is so we have a customer portal. When someone goes on our website, they can log in and look at, various information, your bill. You can see your bill image. There's also energy efficiency tips. So there's information, and that would include these programs.
So there would just be a link describing each of the programs provided there in the portal. Within that, you said that you would try to target high bill alerts. What qualifications are there for a high bill alert?
So the high bill alert, I don't remember the exact qualifications, but that's through our home energy management program. And so if it has to do with the weather and the usage, and because we don't have AMI installed yet, it's just kind of like an algorithm. And again, I don't know the specifics because there's a vendor that we work with through that who actually sends those alerts out. So it's their proprietary information as far as the algorithms. But it does look at the usage, and if again, where we have AMR, if based on the weather and the customer's previous usage, it looks as though, so let's say in the wintertime, for example, if their usage spikes up in the wintertime and it appears that they're heating with electric heat, or if they've completed an online kind of assessment of their home and told us that they use electric heat, then it will look at that information and say, oh, it's been, 30 degrees outside and it's forecasted to be 30 degrees for the next couple of days. This customer's at risk for their usage going up. They will receive a notification.
What type of notification would they receive? Like email, text if they've signed up?
It's an
If they've
email.
not signed up, where would they receive it?
It's an email.
It's an email. So if they haven't signed up for emails, how would they receive that?
They wouldn't if they haven't signed up for emails.
Okay. On page 7, you also mentioned that there was a direct main campaign to previous lay heat participants. Has that been completed?
I think that is supposed to say direct mail if it doesn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry, I
Could be a
don't know which-
typo for me. It probably does say mail campaign. I apologize. Have you guys reached out to lay heat participants? As in terms of like trying to get them involved with the DSM program?
So we did the direct mail. That's the only communication specifically to those customers that I'm aware of that was targeted only at those customers.
And how many customers were on that list?
I don't know. I mean, I know in general, I think from thinking back to the base case, I believe we had maybe 12,000 customers who had received LIHEAP assistance, but that's just a guess from my memory.
And the direct mail that has been sent to them, did that take place in 2025 or 2026?
I believe that was in 2025.
Okay, if I asked in a post-hearing data request, would you be able to provide more specific information as it pertains to that?
Yes.
Okay, in response to Joint Intervenor's first request, item 11, you provided that Kentucky Power was working with the program administrator to create a list of accounts that can proactively be contacted for participation, with a focus on high usage accounts. Has that been completed?
It was.
And how many customers were discovered to be on that list?
I was participating in that, but I do not remember. It was back in the wintertime. I don't remember the exact number. I believe the kilowatt hour usage was over 4,000 kilowatt hours, but the total number of customers, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Would you be able to provide that in a post-hearing data request?
Yeah, we would have to look back at what we provided to TRC.
And so you created the list, but was TRC the ones reaching out to those individuals, or is Kentucky Power?
It was TRC. We provided a list of customer contact information for TRC. They have a call center as well that can make direct calls to customers to reach out and explain the program to them and to offer to go ahead and get them signed up for an assessment.
And do you know if TRC has made those phone calls?
Yes, they were making the calls whenever we provided the information back in the wintertime.
Do you think that they've only made them for 2025, or have they reached everyone, or will that continue into 2026?
Well, I believe we didn't provide the information until this year.
Okay.
It was either the end of last year or the beginning of this year, and that we provided the information to them, but as far as I know, they've completed all of the phone calls.
Do you
At
get
least
results from,
attempted.
do you get results from those phone calls? Or a call sheet saying this was the answer?
No, they haven't, we haven't requested that level of information from them.
I know that you mentioned earlier that, I don't know if you were unsure that it just didn't exist, of a survey asking the customers, like, how they feel about the programs.
Yeah, no, to my knowledge, I'm not familiar with that being completed as far as TRC asking, like, when they go in and sign up on the portal. To my knowledge, that's not there. I haven't gone in myself and requested.
Is that something that Kentucky Power could ask TRC to start tracking?
We can ask, I don't know if their system has the capability to do that or not, though. Because the online portal is something that's within their system, so I don't know the capabilities of their system.
Wouldn't you want to know what the success rate was of the calls? There's no indication, is that what I hear you saying, that you don't know how many calls have been made and what the responses were? Maybe not specific, but yes, so many signed up as a result, or whatever the result was.
I mean, I understand that it would be a benefit to ask. I will just say that generally, I didn't think to ask them because there was, we provided them a large list. I don't remember the exact number. And I know from personal experience, just trying to reach out to customers myself, we'll have a customer who calls in, or I'll have something forwarded to me that a customer has a concern or a question, and I'll try to reach out to them, and I have difficulty reaching them myself, and it'll show, when I call someone, it shows that, the company that I'm calling from. So I would guess that they probably have similar issues. I know myself, if someone calls me and it's a number that I don't recognize, a lot of times I won't answer it. So I don't know the success rate.
If they don't get someone to answer, do they leave a message if they have that opportunity?
Yeah, they'll leave a message, and if I don't recall if we provided the email addresses or not. Again, this was several months ago that the information was provided. But I do know in general, if someone goes to the online portal and puts in a request, when they're trying to schedule the assessment, because again, they put in the request and then someone will reach out and say, we've received this, we're gonna get you on the schedule, and then they'll reach back out to try to schedule it. Not everyone will answer the phone or reach back out to them, but I do know that they'll call several times and they'll email the customer as well as a follow-up to try to get the assessment scheduled. But, there are times where someone will, fill out the paperwork and then maybe they figure out what it is and they say, never mind, I'm not really interested in that.
Thank you.
I think that's all my questions about the social media and the level of engagement. So switching gears, can you explain to us if both the programs, the HEAP and the SAS, significantly underspend again in 2026? What specific operational corrective actions does Kentucky Power plan on taking before filing its next annual DSM?
So, I think before we file anything else, we'll, meet internally and discuss the programs and probably have meetings with TRC and Community Action about the programs. And again, we meet with them on a regular basis anyway, so that's not unusual to have meetings with them and just determine what needs to happen. But, currently, the numbers that I'm seeing as far as, I'm very pleased with where Community Action is, thus far in the year with the T program. And with TRC, the savings numbers are looking, promising. And, as I said, we've continued marketing the programs to try to encourage customer participation. So we'll just have to have internal discussions.
All right. In terms of the T program, what specific performance communications has Kentucky Power had with the community action agencies to identify and respond to participation gaps?
So I mean, I meet with them on a regular basis, and whenever I meet with them, I'll ask them if there's any, any sort of challenges or issues. But again, I'm not really concerned with the performance. Last year was, in my opinion, an anomaly as far as the program being, slightly underspent. They've administered these programs for us for, I believe, at least 15 years. And as I provided in one of the data responses, they're, for the past 5 or 6 years, year over year, the participation has increased. And so in my opinion, last year was simply an anomaly, and I don't anticipate any issues. And I don't have any concerns with the programs overall.
I know we talked a little bit about the Weatherization Readiness Fund earlier, but can you tell us how much has been used for 2026?
I believe it was a little over $1,000, but again, that's not, I don't have all of the invoices, and I know a couple of people, when I spoke to them in a meeting probably less than a month ago or a month ago, they did mention that they had projects that it looked like they were going to be able to utilize those funds towards, so that number could change in the next couple of weeks whenever I have the updated invoices that I haven't received yet.
If we ask in a post-hearing data request, could you provide us the amount up to June?
Yeah, but I just have to have the invoices. I haven't received them all yet.
When do you think that you will receive them?
Generally, I get them the middle of the following month.
No. Okay, so it might only be able to be up until May.
Yeah, and as of right now, I believe it's just a little over $1,000, so it's been a couple of homes that have received those benefits.
Earlier, Commissioner Mayfield asked if the T program applied to renters or homeowners. And you talked a lot about how there weren't restrictions with the HEAP program, but can you be a renter for the commercial program?
Yeah, I don't believe there's any restrictions on if you lease the property, if your business is in a leased property.
Okay.
I don't recall any restrictions.
So the renter or the owner could reach out?
Yes. Because again, with those two programs, the customer's having to receive the incentives, they're having to purchase equipment to receive the incentives. So, for the commercial program, like this year, they're either able to do the lighting upgrades or the HVAC. So again, we didn't have any restrictions on whether you owned it or purchased it, or leased it rather, because you're having to invest in that property and then you're getting a rebate back.
In terms of the waiting list for the T program, you mentioned that a lot of the homes didn't qualify, but they would be left on the list. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, is that, there's a couple different reasons you could be on the wait list. It could just be that, you qualify, and so my understanding is when someone applies for the T program, they're kind of automatically put on the wait list and they're prioritized. They have different, like a chart that, say it's someone elderly, someone that's disabled based on your income. I think if there's children in the home, there's several different factors that go into that prioritization. And so the customer is put on the wait list based on that prioritization of where they fall, and then they'll take the top ones and work those into their schedule. So it could be that you're just on the wait list and you will be able to receive weatherization, or it could be that you're placed on the wait list and, they're unsure if they're going to be able to assist you or not because of the status of the home.
So if you're one of the homes, though, that needs like a $30,000 improvement, and that's why you've not been, able to receive assistance through the programs, would you just be indefinitely on the waiting list?
That's my understanding, that they do have homes that stay on there. I don't know, I'm not going to say indefinitely, but they would remain on the wait list for an extended period of time. I don't know the time period on when Community Action would or if they would remove you from the wait list. But yeah, so if, let's say somehow that customer is able to receive, have repairs done some other way, maybe a family member, steps in and helps make some repairs on the home that would change their status, and they could reach back out and potentially be moved up on the list.
So in terms of when we're evaluating the case record here and we see a long waiting list for the T program, is there any way to tell how many of those customers are actually able to qualify in waiting, or the ones that are just waiting that might not ever receive assistance?
I would have to speak to Community Action about that, because again, they are the ones who are intaking that information. because it's supplemental to the Weatherization Assistance Program, that's the DOE's program. So we don't see the applications that they have on hold. They only provide, because there's a chance that those customers might not even use the T program. They have a wait list, and it could be that, it could be that they're not even one of our customers. I mean, because of where our service territory is, we don't serve a full county necessarily. We could have a part of a county, so they could have a wait list that includes customers that are a neighboring utility as well. So they don't just share all that information with us. They only provide us with the T information. So anything else, we just have to request from them, and they have to like tell us the number on the wait list. I don't get to view their wait list.
Okay, but the wait list that TRC provides to Kentucky Power is all Kentucky Power customers.
So TRC, yes, that's all Kentucky Power. But the T program, if I reach out to Community Action today and say, can you tell me what your wait list is? And they say they have 50 on the wait list. There's no, without them like scrutinizing their list, they're not going to be able to, not all of those customers may qualify to use the T program because.
So in the number that you reported, I think in the direct testimony, and I think it's been updated, when you gave a waiting list for the T program that came from the Community Action Agency, is that all Kentucky Power customers, or could that be other customers?
I would have to clarify with them because I just simply asked them, can you tell me the number of customers you have on your wait list currently? And they provided it to me.
If we ask that in a post-hearing data request, could you give us a specific number of Kentucky Power customers that are on a wait list?
I can request it from Community Action because, again, I don't have access to their wait list. I can only ask them for information.
How does Kentucky Power use that information to plan and forecast if they know that all those waiting customers could not be their customers? Does that make sense?
In general, I don't typically ask them about the wait list because they're providing the completed invoices to me so that I know that the, customers are receiving the benefits of the program. And again, last year was the first year in probably 5 or 6 years that the full budget wasn't spent and the program participation goal wasn't met. So again, it's not an ongoing issue where we're constantly not using all the funds, we're not meeting the program participation budgets to where we're having to really question the program. They're doing what they need to do. They're properly administering the program, and they're assisting customers in need.
Okay, I'd like to shift a little bit to the lost revenue, and considering that you guys have requested now to not roll over the budget. How will Kentucky Power's ability to meet the multi-year energy reduction goals be met? Are you guys concerned about meeting the goals, considering that you're foregoing the unspent money from 2025?
So, as far as, I don't know that I would use the word concerned, but there is definitely question whether or not we'll be able to meet that.
Sorry. Sounded like it was about to self-destruct.
There are questions whether we'll be able to meet that goal because it was based on, a full 3-year program. So again, that's something we're just gonna have to continue to evaluate as we see how the participation is, because as I've said, these are customer programs. We can offer it to customers, make them aware of it as much as possible, but the customer does have to choose to participate themselves.
Has there been any discussion about how to actually reach more customers?
Yeah, we talk about it constantly. Internally, I work, I might not be able to give you the numbers that, our communications manager has, but I talk to her on a regular basis about, various different programs, because not only do I, work with, these programs, but also the Heart and Thaw program. So, I meet with her on a regular basis, and, we talk about communication with customers in general. And again, there's lots of different programs that we're trying to, make customers aware of. We try to help customers as best we can and make them aware of the programs that we have that can be of assistance to them, whether it is to help lower their bills through energy efficiency, or help them if they've gotten a little bit behind and they need help with payment arrangements, or like a budget or an AMP program. So we work closely together.
In Ms. Sherwood's direct testimony, she mentioned an industry standard methodology to calculating lost revenues. Are you aware of how other utilities in Kentucky generally calculate them?
I am not.
You stated in your rebuttal testimony that Kentucky Power's methodology for calculating was previously approved by the commission in 2018 and was most recently updated in 2024-115. You further explained in response to Joint Intervenors First Request for Information, item 19, that the net energy impact information for the T program comes from the 2015 Kentucky Power DSM management plan. However, that plan did not include the HEAP and the SES. Those are brand-new pilot programs. Can you explain to us if Kentucky Power maintains that calculating the lost revenues based on this pre-filled average forecasted measure mix can accurately reflect the savings for those programs as well?
So, I mean, I'm sorry, you went over a lot of stuff and you bounced around and referred to 2 or 3 different things, and I kind of got lost a little bit. But if I understood you correctly, I mean, as far as the way that the lost revenue has been calculated, that is my understanding that it's been a long-standing approval and that hasn't changed.
For the T
And then-
program,
For the T
correct.
program.
Okay.
And then my understanding is in the 115 case, we explained that we had intentions of hiring the EM&V consultant and that would be done sometime this year. And again, that's something we plan on doing Q3 of this year. And that whoever is selected based, through that RFP process will be reviewing this information.
Considering that like the actual customer participation changes the results, do you think that calculating it that way is still the best option for Kentucky Power?
I really am not sure because I'm not an expert in doing that calculation. And again, that's part of the reason why we were going to hire someone as a consultant to do that. So in my opinion, we would, determine through the RFP process who is the best candidate for that, and then we will, collaborate with them on what the best approach will be.
Okay. Sorry, just one second. Some of these questions have already been answered. I just want to make sure I'm not asking you things you've already discussed. Can you explain the potential benefits of utilizing an interest-bearing account that would have on Kentucky Power ratepayers? I know you've explained that the administrative costs would be the downside, but could you explain the potential benefits?
To be honest, I'm not an accounting expert, and I just don't feel comfortable trying to answer that because I don't know the answer.
Okay.
Is that something Ms. Khan could testify to? Probably not either, right?
I really don't know. I mean, I know she spoke about it just a little bit, but I mean, that's just, something that specific is, again, when the question was asked, we reached out to our accounting department and answered the question that was asked. But again, I'm not an expert. Could there be customer benefits? Yes. There could be. Could there be, not benefits to customers? Could it be detrimental to the customers? As it could be potentially. I'm not certain. I mean, as far as, an account bearing interest, I understand that if you have an account that has money in it, like a savings account, for example, and it has interest, it's going to go up a little bit. Could that be a benefit to a customer? Yes, but my understanding is that no, we don't have any other surcharge that is required to have that type of account. And to my knowledge, AEP, none of our sister companies or affiliates have any similar process. So as far as giving you an example of saying, yes, someone else did this, and because of it, this was the benefit that customers received, I can't give you that example because I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
Do you have the exhibit SNCR1 in front of you?
I do, I just have to find it. Okay. I'm there.
The tab DSM 2.0, line 45, which I don't think is going to be helpful for you, but it shows incentives. Can you explain reasoning and justification for having $183,284 as an incentive in the Kentucky Power budget for the CES program, considering there was only one applicant in 2025?
Okay, I can't, I have part of that exhibit, but I don't have the full exhibit. Can you tell me, I understand you said the incentives, but can you give me the amount again?
There's $183,284, so we can just say $183,000 just for the purposes of speaking about it. But that was listed as the incentive, but there was only one applicant, excuse me.
Okay, without having it in front of me, my guess would be that number
I can
also
bring it
included.
to her if she wants, if that's okay to,
Or I can put it up on the screen if that's helpful.
yeah, that might, either way is fine. I don't want her guessing about.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, I believe it is including the administrative, like there was invoices received for the assess program from TRC due to the rollout of the program. So there were costs involved. That's the only thought that I can think of currently.
So within the incentives, the administrative costs would also be included?
I mean, that's the only, again, without doing some analysis on the spreadsheet, and again, Ms. Khan was the one who helped create that.
If we asked in a post-hearing data request just for you guys to clarify that, would you be able to?
Yeah, we can discuss it and review it.
Okay, thank you. My last question, since around 2019, Kentucky Power has consistently been over-recovering from residential ratepayers through the DSM charge. Can you explain how Kentucky Power plans to reduce the over-collection of the DSM surcharge revenue going forward?
So I will just say that I have not been involved in this process since 2019. You know, I really started, in the 2024-00115 case, I adopted testimony. So I wasn't even a part of that case in the beginning. I was really just adopting the testimony for the hearing. So, I mean, again, it's something that we can evaluate, but to give you any reason why, I was not involved at that time.
Yeah, so I'm not actually asking why it happened. I'm asking about the plans to reduce it going forward.
So I think it would just have to be Ms. Khan and myself and management discussing how we're calculating this and reviewing it. It may also be something that we can discuss with, the contractors that we have or the vendors that we work with to try to determine if there's a better approach to how we're calculating it than what we have in the past. Because I'm going to assume that what you're saying is correct. I haven't reviewed that back that far to know if that's a correct statement or not.
If you get to a natural stopping point, I think we could probably use a break.
That's it. That was my last
That was
question.
your last question?
Yes.
That was good timing. Okay. Let's take a break, and then we'll do commissioners' questions, and then redirect the thing. All right, 15 minutes. We are back on the record in case number 2025-00365, Kentucky Power's DSM case. And I think staff you were finished with questioning?
I am, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Mayfield, did you have questions?
I do not, thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Reagan?
Yeah, just a couple. You put out an RFP to TRC, is that correct?
That is correct. I was not part of that process, but yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
I'm struggling to understand how if an RFP was sent out, that Kentucky Power would not have the information about number of customers on T, reports and that kind of thing. Knowing the sensitivity of affordability in the Kentucky Power region with legislators and with the PSC. So I guess I just am really struggling to understand why you would not want to see that information, why AEP wouldn't want to see that information and track it
So can you clarify again what information
for any of these programs.
okay, but what information are you saying that we don't have, I guess is my question.
Well, I think we've asked a couple times today in different areas.
Mhm.
How many customers have you contacted? What was the response? How many people are in the program? Same thing with community action. I guess I'm just struggling to understand why Kentucky Power doesn't think that is relevant information that we would need to know.
So I will say that as far as the actual program participants, we have that information. Now, when I was asked about the phone calls made to the customers and the outcome of the phone calls, that is correct, I don't have that. I do know that TRC has shared in the past some information regarding their call center as far as the number of calls that they have, I can't remember if it's made or received, and like the call answer percentage, which is similar information that we track for our internal call centers. So they've provided some of that information, but as far as the specific question that I was asked, like how many customers had they called and what was the response for each of those calls, I have not requested that specific detail. Simply because I understand that it is difficult to track that. I mean, that would be very manual to track and say that, I called, 15 customers today and I tried each of those customers 3 times and I got, this many answers or left this many messages. That sort of thing would be a very manual stat to track. So
Is their call center all manual? Because they should be able to pull those reports from an IVR. Those reports are available in a call center.
right, but for the IVR system, that's for incoming calls. If they're making outbound calls to our customers,
They should be able to track that as well.
I mean, I can request that information, but I've never asked for it because to me, that's something that's very manual. I know, in the past when I was at the call center, I don't know that they were tracking the outcome of our outbound calls. That was years ago. The technology could have changed.
Okay, in a post-hearing data request, can we ask for some reports from TRC and Community Action that you can request?
From TRC specifically, now, Community Action, it depends on what you're asking. To my knowledge, they're not making any outbound calls as far as the programs. Community Action, has the programs that are available and they do their own marketing, we do marketing for programs, and then customers just go in and apply. It's not typically like a phone call back and forth.
Okay, can we ask the question if we can get,
Yeah,
how many are on the wait list, how many are in your territory, that kind of thing?
yes, I can ask that information from Community Action.
Okay. Going forward, and you're looking to ramp up these programs in '26, do you think there's enough manpower to bring down those pipelines? And do you think TRC has enough people?
Yes, yeah, as I stated, they already had, on the residential program, TRC already had the pipeline completely down. All the home, everyone who had reached out and requested a home energy assessment and had scheduled it, those had all been completed as of, I believe, the middle of May of this year. And then, as I stated earlier, there was some additional marketing. We made some changes in the marketing and did an
additional push to market the programs, and we were getting a good response. Like, there was an email sent out, and within a day or two, there was 15 additional requests for new home assessments. So yes, I don't have any staffing concerns.
Okay. And then just, one last question. You talked about, the T program and the $1 million that Kentucky, Power gave to Community Action?
Mhm.
Can that be used alone, or of the $1 million, could a customer use that without the DOE grant or anything else? Could they just use that portion of it?
Yeah, so they definitely have more leeway with the grant funding. Again, this was a foundation grant. So this
Right.
was a request that Community Action made to our foundation. So I wasn't a part of that process as far as helping them apply for it. It was something that they did at our suggestion. We made the suggestion and had, through some discussions with them, said, this might be something that we can help you with. And 3 community action offices made those grant requests. So as far as what is specific in those grant terms, I wasn't a part of that. I'm not a part of the foundation to make those determinations. But they do have more leeway. But my understanding is still, that was a grant that was over, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, over 5 years. So it's not like they were given $1 million just today to put into homes. It's over several years to make improvements to homes. And, Community Action alone is making those decisions on how they're utilizing those funds. But it is to improve homes so that they can receive additional weatherization. So they can make an improvement to a home that doesn't necessarily eventually even receive the T program, benefits. It could just be that they make the improvements and then they're able to do the work through only, DOE funding.
Is it possible to get a copy of the foundation grant that was given to Community Action and the requirements of those funds?
I don't know legally if we can do that or not, because again, that was something that was between a foundation. So it wasn't Kentucky Power.
It's the AEP Foundation.
It was a foundation and a grant, someone requesting a grant. So I don't know if that would be something that we can legally provide, because again, that's not anything that's, Kentucky Power did. It's something that the foundation approved and they had requested it.
Madam Vice Chairman, we will confirm that we'll run the tracks to make sure that. I think Ms. Coburn's concerned about it's not really our money to give, and it's not an agreement that Kentucky Power is involved in directly, so it's not there. But we'll run the traps with the AEP Foundation and with the folks and do it.
Okay,
make sure we get it-
see what the
information to you there.
the restrictions and
Yeah,
requirements are.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's it. Ms. Coburn, I think it was your rebuttal testimony, we were talking about the participation level for the T program. And the lower number of participants in 2025, which wasn't very low. I mean, it's just a little bit below what was projected, but, and in your response, you were talking about how 2025 was an anomaly that resulted from delays in receiving federal funding.
That was what was explained to me by Community Action, was there was a delay in when they received the DOE funding. And again, where the T program is supplemental to that, they're not able to go out and completely do all of the requirements for a home with just the T program funding. They have to combine that because it's supplemental to the DOE program. And so when there was a delay, it just impacted this program as well.
So can we tell, are we far enough into 2026 now to see if it was just an anomaly, or, it may be that delay in federal funding is the norm now instead of an anomaly. Is it different in 2026?
So I've asked, and it was explained to me by one of the community action agencies that I believe there was some sort of
it's like there's one thing that's been approved, but one thing hasn't been approved yet, so they haven't actually received the funding that they would get at a specific time this year. However, there was some additional, I believe they called it some bills funding. I didn't know exactly what they were talking about, but there was some additional funding to where they said that they didn't believe that there was going to be a delay. Like it wasn't going to impact the program like it did last year.
So you expect.
I think they're farther along this year than they were, like this time this year than they were last year with the process when the delay occurred.
When it's jointly administered and you're not getting the federal funding.
Right.
I was just wondering if you believe that will hinder anything this year, or you're
Yeah.
more or less.
Based on the conversations that I've had, I was told that they don't anticipate it causing any delays.
Regarding the CESP program for commercial customers, I believe, if I understand it correctly, there have been different incentives offered for the different years of the pilot. The first year was for LED lighting.
It was lighting, yes, there were lighting
The
incentives.
second year for HVAC.
Yes,
This year, I guess, 26?
Yes.
The incentives would be for food service,
that's for 27.
or for 27?
Yes.
Okay. Could you describe what those food service incentives would be? Is it for energy efficient appliances in kitchens, or?
It is, yeah, there's various appliances, and I'm sorry, I didn't think to bring the breakdown with me.
I don't need a ton of detail, just,
Yeah, I know that I remember seeing like steamers, and I think it was kitchen, stuff that restaurants or,
caterers, or?
yeah, it was kitchen appliances.
Do you reach out specifically to customers who meet that criteria or category of customer?
Yeah, we have plans to start marketing that program, that specific later in the year. TRC and talked about it with myself and others with Kentucky Power, probably last month or the month before, kind of come up with a plan of when we wanted to start marketing that, and we decided that we would wait until the fall. We didn't want to start it too soon because those rebates aren't available until next year, till January 1st of next year. So we don't want to market it too soon and cause frustration with customers if, it's something that they're interested in, but to go ahead and start having conversations. So because TRC does have someone within our territory that will go around to businesses specifically and have conversations with them about energy efficiency, just in general, the programs, and leave information. And so that's something that they're starting to do now, so that, and our local customer services team as well, if they're having conversations with a company that seems like that would be beneficial to them because of the type of equipment they use, then we'll go ahead and make them aware and say, hey, if you're considering doing something, this is an option, and, maybe you can plan for it, next year so that you can qualify for this.
Right.
If there's any way, understand if
Plan
something
their
breaks and
spending.
you have to replace it immediately, but if you have plans, yes.
Because this is a rebate, right? They
Yes.
spend up to 25. So, just in general, have you come up with some ideas of other categories that you might focus on in the future if this pilot were allowed to continue?
No, we haven't. We haven't had those discussions, or I haven't been a part of those discussions. Again, whenever this originally rolled out, there were other members who, participated in the market potential study and did a lot of the communications with that team. But I'm not familiar with any decisions that have been made yet.
I know a broad concern across the country is that there are not enough incentives for landlords to take advantage of things like this, since they typically don't pay the utility bill, and that's the renters. And the renters can't take advantage of upgrades to homes that they don't own. And I know Commissioner Mayfield had asked a question about that earlier. I wonder if that might be considered for some sort of incentive for multifamily housing upgrades.
So for the residential program, there's not an exclusion. Multifamily housing is included as they can utilize that program.
Landlords can? Mm-hmm. Even if they're not paying the electric bill, generally the residents are.
So I would have to go back through, again, like I said, I haven't walked through the portal myself to see the questions, but I do know that you can be a renter and qualify for that program. But again, for this program, so what you could do, for example, for the residential program is the tenant could apply, for the home energy assessment and then have the audit done. But to receive the rebate, they would have to have purchases made, so home improvement purchases. So whether that's a new HVAC
And
HVAC
like a
system.
renter wouldn't do that for their landlord.
Exactly, so that's where, but I mean, you could still qualify for it, so if the property owner is planning on making some sort of repairs, they can go through and receive the rebate, but they would have to, the home does have to go through the home energy assessment first. So it may be a coordination between the property owner and the tenant.
How could you encourage that? How could, I just hear this problem very often. All the panels on affordability across the country, it's a big concern that renters don't have very much control over physical aspects of their homes.
Right, I understand that. I mean, and I guess, for our program at least, like I explained, even if you don't own the property and you don't plan on making any improvements to receive the actual rebate, you can still apply for the program, for the residential program, as long as you have electric heat and you can have the assessment done, and then you can have the free measures installed. And then if, whatever deficiencies are, highlighted in that assessment, that's a starting point. You can have a conversation with your property owner, how receptive they are. But it does give a tenant, they're not automatically excluded, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They can still qualify for the program.
I hope that if this pilot is continued, that Kentucky Power will give some thought to how they can facilitate things like this for landlords.
Right.
Especially like in multifamily housing situations, whether, if there's not a commercial account, I don't know if it could be through CESP, but some sort of an incentive to that effect. Let's see. And part of what we're supposed to consider, according to 278, ARS 278-285, we're supposed to consider how well, or if you've worked with customer representatives and the Attorney General's office in developing your plans. Could you describe that for me, if you have?
So I know initially before we filed the 2024-00115, there were several meetings. I believe, and again, I was not a part of that case at the beginning. I adopted testimony, but I did attend at least a couple of meetings, and I know I believe there were maybe 4 meetings. It was somewhere in this book. It's somewhere in here as far as being submitted. If I'm remembering correctly, I think there were 4 meetings, and I do know that the Attorney General's office was a participant in at least one, if not a couple of those meetings, along with several members of the Joint Intervenors.
I know that Kentucky Power was doing, I don't know what they call them, but some focus group meetings in different communities in their territory. Do they ever talk about the DSM programs in those? And is that an opportunity?
It is an opportunity. The actual focus groups that you're speaking of, I was not a part of those because those were taking place when I was still in regulatory. Because again, I just changed job positions, so I was not a part of those meetings, and I don't recall seeing kind of like a summary or anything of those to know exactly what was discussed. But I mean, in general, we do. We have some other meetings with we call them kind of community advisory panels, and, we talk about various things in those programs, and so it may have been brought up in some of those meetings that I just haven't attended.
Something similar was proposed by the interveners in this case, and I believe Kentucky Power's response was that they did not think those were necessary. Let me see what they called them.
I believe what you're referring to is there was a suggestion that what we provide in these annual filings needed updated, and we just stated that, we were whatever information the commission needs and staff needs to make a decision, we're happy to provide that.
It was sort of a stakeholder group meeting that was proposed. Let's see if I can find it real quick, because I don't remember what they called it. Well, I don't see that now. I'll send a follow-up request if I can find what I was referring to there. Okay. Anything further from the commissioners?
Thank you.
Redirect?
Yeah, just a couple, just for clarification. There's been some discussion about energy audits and rebates and whatnot, and I just want to clarify some things. And this is relating to the home energy improvement program, the residential, what I consider to be the new residential program. It's not the T program. Is it correct that anyone can sign up for participation in this that meets the requirements of having electric heating,
Yes,
and a home energy audit will be performed?
yes,
The home energy audit is someone from TRC or one of their subcontractors who's experienced in identifying energy efficiency upgrades will perform an audit on the house, right? And so that's just a report of identifying, you could use better lights, or this window needs to be sealed and whatnot, or you have a 30-year-old air conditioner that is probably gonna die, so you should get an energy efficient one. Is that the fair way to describe that?
yes, and there's also free energy efficiency measures that are installed during that assessment.
Right, so this is the point I want to get to. During that home energy audit under the HEAP program, and I'll call the small steps, but have some real impact, can be accomplished. New lights, low flow shower heads, the sealants on the windows, caulking, pipe insulation, those sort of things that someone can have in a truck, a small truck, and help install. That's done during those, correct?
Correct, yes.
It's really an audit and small improvement, small energy efficient improvement installation. correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And then during that audit, they will identify that, if you had a different type of heating system or more updated air conditioner, or, a newer refrigerator, those are the sorts of things that the rebate program is designed to assist customers with.
yes.
correct? Yeah, so the customer have to go out and buy a new refrigerator, submit a rebate form, and if it's the right kind of refrigerator, they would get the.
Yeah, if it meets the qualifications for the incentive, yes.
So that explains why there's only maybe 10 people who've done the rebate thing, but you've seen so much, a large impact from this, even just from the sealing the windows and
Yes.
doing that sort of stuff. Okay, great. Staff council asked about potential detriments from using an interest-bearing account. And the accounting team indicated that there could be some. Would one of those detriments be that there would be additional labor costs associated with managing an interest-bearing account?
That was my understanding from our accounting staff, yes.
And then is there is it the potential that there's also costs associated with opening and maintaining accounts such as this?
There could be,
Yeah,
yes.
and those could be more or less than what the interest would be for any year. Is that correct?
That is
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. And again, it's hard to tell what that would be without doing that. Okay. One last question. One last small line of questioning here. The staff council asked about the over recovery of costs from customers. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And so, very broadly, the company each year when it calculates and then submits its proposed DSM rate to the commission, it looks at what it anticipates the costs will be for the next year, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so that includes the cost of actually operating the program, the lost revenues from implementing the program, but it also accounts for the over or under recovery of the costs during the prior year. Is that
Yes.
correct? Right. So that those, if the next year's program is going to cost $1 million, through the actual program costs and lost revenue, but there was a $250,000 over recovery, the next year's revenue would be set at $750,000. Is that correct? Subject to my math check.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I would
That was correct.
constantly tell the witnesses to not do math on the stand, and then I asked them to do that. But if is that correct?
That sounds correct.
That's correct. Okay. Those are all my questions.
Redirect.
Just recross.
Yeah. That.
Just a couple of follow-ups really quick. Does TRC, do you know if they track what free measures are implemented during those audits that Mr. Gish asked you about?
I believe that they are tracked, but again, I haven't, I would have to double check.
Okay.
It's been a little bit since I've in detail reviewed all of the documentation that they send us.
Okay. So you don't know if they report those to you, even if they do track them?
They do provide reporting to us, but again, I've mostly been on the calls, and they don't necessarily provide that information that I can recall on there, but I would have to look at some of the reporting. I can't recall right now if I've seen it on a report or not.
Okay. Regarding the interest-bearing account, Mr. Gish asked you, the cost of the account could be more or less than the interest earned.
I mean, again, I'm not in the accounting team, so I don't know what it would cost to set up an account, but I just know that we don't currently have something like that established. So it would be a new process to establish an interest-bearing account and to maintain it. So my understanding is that there would be costs involved, and whether or not those would exceed, any interest earned, I'm not certain.
Do you know if anybody at AEP has done that evaluation?
No, because as I said, no, we don't have, to my knowledge, none of our affiliates have an interest-bearing account for this type of mechanism.
As to the over-under recovery, does that occur automatically at the beginning of the year? Or does it require a case such as this to refund over recovery?
We do the calculations prior to filing the annual.
Okay. Was any of the over-recovery from 2025 actually refunded?
It's included in the calculation. It's not an actual refund to the customer. It's included in the calculation for the new program year. So if we've over-recovered, my understanding is the next year's surcharge factor would be lower because it's being captured in that calculation.
Okay. Was the surcharge factor for 2026 lowered as a result of the over-recovery in 2025?
I would assume so, but again, Ms. Khan did those calculations under my direction and with me reviewing them.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Steph,
I don't think we have any further questions.
anything further, commissioners?
Thank you.
All right. Any reason this witness can't be excused now? Thank you, you're excused. And do we have any request to recall Ms. Khan?
No.
Is that your case?
That is our case, Your Honor.
We are 10 minutes till 12. Why don't we go ahead and take our lunch break and then do the final witness? Or do we think or how much questioning do you have for them?
I have just a handful of questions.
Let's go ahead.
I just have a few as well.
Okay, let's push through then.
Thank you
Go
very
ahead.
much.
Call your witness when you're ready.
Joint interveners, call Stacy Sherwood.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thanks. Please be seated. Tell us your full name and business address. if you can.
My name is Stacy L. Sherwood, and my business address is 10298 Route 116, Heinsberg, Vermont, 05461.
Counsel.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Sherwood. Can you state for the record who your employer is?
Energy Futures Group.
And what's your title with Energy Futures Group?
I'm a principal with Energy Futures Group.
Okay. And did you cause to be filed testimony into the record in this case?
Yes, I did.
And correction to an exhibit as well?
Yes.
And did you file or cause to be filed responses to data requests?
Yes.
Okay. Notwithstanding the change in circumstances as of this morning, would your responses to the questions in that testimony and the responses to the data requests be the same if they were asked again today?
Yes, it would be.
Thank you. With, Your Honor.
Mr. Gish?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Just a few questions. Ms. Sherwood, could you turn to I'm sorry, do you have your discovery responses or the discovery responses in this case?
Yes, I do.
Can you turn to the joint intervener's response to Commission Staff Question 1-4?
Yes,
You familiar with that? Okay, have you reviewed this request or response?
I have reviewed it, yes.
The first clause there says, while the commission allows the use of interest-bearing accounts for surcharge funds in other contexts. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay, this response doesn't describe what those other contexts are. Is that right?
No, but this response was provided by counsel, not by myself.
Okay, so there's no, but you did testify on page 23 of your, you turn to page 23 of your testimony.
Yes.
Okay. In this, is your, as part of this response, you describe your position that the company should put the funds collected via the DSM surcharge into an interest-bearing account, is that correct?
That is correct.
And then the footnote 29 cites to 2 cases, is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Did you review those cases?
Not to the full extent. I
Okay.
was made aware of them by counsel.
Okay, so, so you didn't review the context of those cases?
Not in its entirety, no.
Okay, so, are you familiar with the Electric Southern Water and Southern District meter replacement surcharge monitoring order?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, so you're not familiar that that was a one-time surcharge to, as part of base rates to install, new meters for the utility?
I don't recall, but I trust your judgment on the interpretation of that order.
And that surcharge didn't have an over-under recovery part to the recovery, is that correct?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. And you're not familiar with then, apparently, with the application of the Big Rivers Electric Co-op for approval to issue evidences of indebtedness in case number 2012-119?
That would be correct.
And then if you looked at that, there's no actual order cited there, but if you looked at the order in that case, you would find on pages 4 and 5 that there is no reference to, or that the interest-bearing account there is not related to commission or customer rates being recovered. It relates to a loan that the company took out to replenish its transition reserve fund.
Okay.
Is that right? So this is a completely different position, different context than a surcharge or rider that has over-under recovery. Is that correct? These cases are not,
Based on
neither of
what
those
you
cases
said-
have over-under recovery.
Based on what you said, yes. However, I've worked in other jurisdictions where this has been allowed.
Understood. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, staff?
Yes, good, almost afternoon.
Good
Uh,
morning.
I also have a couple questions about the interest-bearing account. On page 23, you recommended that Kentucky Power hold the collections in the account. Can you explain why holding them in the account would be more beneficial to ratepayers over the over-collection true-up that already exists? And how those two will kind of overlap with each other?
So at this point in time, with not having an interest-bearing account, that money's just sitting there, and it's not earning any interest, which could go to offset some of the cost in the future. So when they have an excess collection that we've seen in 2025, and based on the numbers we heard this morning, I imagine will also exist in 2026, that as a result, ratepayers are actually losing money because it's not staying in their pockets during that time, and so it's sitting in a non-interest-bearing account. If there's overcollection, then that interest can then be used to decrease the amount of costs that ratepayers have to pay for these programs. There is always in and outs of that, right? Every month they're spending money, and so there's potential for these programs to maybe not have interest that's associated with them. I imagine that the admin fee that's associated with it would likely be offset by the interest that could be borne in the account.
In your previous experience in other jurisdictions, do you think that there is enough money in the account that not just offset, but would benefit ratepayers? So like you'd have administrative costs, they would still make money on top of that.
From my experience, yes, so as part of their true-up every year, they will include that as a line item of how that gets offset in terms of the rate.
Just in general, you think it'd be beneficial to ratepayers in conjunction with the true-up? Like having the true-up does not impact your decision on whether or not the account should exist.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, that was a jumble of words, I'm sorry. The true-up that we've discussed multiple times is, to make the customers whole. This interest-bearing account would be in conjunction with that. The true-up doesn't actually impact your advice that they should have an account.
That is,
They should have an account whether or not they have the true-up.
Correct, yes.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
In terms of lost revenue, can you explain to us generally how departing from Kentucky Power's currently approved methodology could impact Kentucky ratepayers?
So ultimately, that depends on the success of the programs. So currently, if we take the HEAP program that has 111 audits, the majority of the savings actually comes from the rebate portion and not the audit portion, because the audit has the direct install measures that were mentioned this morning, like caulking and faucet aerators, but the rebate side has hot water heaters, heat pumps. That's really where you're generating a lot of your long-lasting savings. And so when the programs are successful and they're getting all those rebates, then maybe they're getting that level of savings for the lost revenue to be claimed. However, in this case, how Kentucky Power is currently calculating it, when there's this lack of performance on the rebate side, they're actually overclaiming the amount of savings that's being received through the program because they're claiming an average savings per customer. It's not based on the actual measures that are being installed. So if we're only getting the direct install measures included, Kentucky Power is claiming more savings than what's actually happening as part of their lost revenues. And so that's a negative impact because then they're over collecting on lost revenues.
So if they were using actual numbers, how would that, when would we need to know those actual numbers in a timeline fashion in order to be approving for next year's surcharge? Like, do you understand the time
Yes.
lag issue?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a time lag issue there, but typically when you are evaluating these programs, then you can use that for a prospective year to say, okay, we're gonna assume that these savings assumptions that we have for that year are accurate because we evaluated in the year prior. And then you could just update them for the following years. So you're just assuming the evaluation will say they saved X kilowatt hours, and so therefore then that would be used for the lost revenue. You would just use that assumption. I would not encourage the use of waiting for evaluation for the following year. One, because you don't evaluate programs every year. You tend to do off years on those just because of the cost that's associated and then the return on that. So I think it's okay to use them in that year, especially if you're using a technical resource manual that will tell you what the assumed savings is, and that's agreed upon, and the commission would approve that technical resource manual.
So just to like sum up and make sure I'm understanding you correctly, you don't have an issue in like your proposed way of calculating it using actuals and then forecasting based on the actuals?
Correct. If you mind if I could expand on that just a
Please.
little bit? One of my concerns about the level of lost revenue that's being claimed, particularly with the T program, is that Kentucky Power is only contributing to a portion of the savings, but they could be claiming the full savings that's occurring with the WAP funding. And so there, I'm also concerned that they're claiming lost revenues beyond what it is that the program is funding itself.
Could you say that again?
Sure.
Sorry.
So for the T program,
Yeah.
Kentucky Power only contributes a portion of the funding that achieves that savings.
Right.
And so the only amount that they should be able to claim under lost revenues should be the portion in which the program's contributing towards. However, based on my analysis, I believe it's the full amount of the savings, so including the WAP funding as well as the T program funding.
Okay, thank you, got it.
And why would the weatherization fund be excluded?
The lost revenues are supposed to be associated with what's achieved through the energy efficiency program that's implemented by Kentucky Power. And so the WAP funding does not come from that program, and therefore the lost revenues should not be associated with it.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm having a hard time making that jump, but, in your testimony, you mentioned that a working group should be formed to develop the narrative that you also proposed that be a requirement in the future DSM annual filings. Can you explain what that working group looks like? I know we kind of had a lot more testimony in the 24-115 case, but can you generally explain your idea for the working group?
Certainly, and I will say the 2024 working group was extremely successful, I think, in my view. I participated in that. What I'd love to see is that instead of having multiple data requests go to Kentucky Power, that we just have these numbers reported, that we have a breakdown of the measures that are being implemented in these programs without having to have a back and forth. And I think there's basic reports that are out there, but I think it'd be good to have members who are interested, particularly the joint interveners, have worked a lot with Kentucky Power on these programs, to see what it is that they would like to have within that report, so that we can limit the back and forth and the administrative costs that's associated with these cases. And I think it would be great if staff's able to participate in terms of asking the things that they're interested in to have in those reports.
Do you have any specific goals that you would propose for the working group? Besides what you just previously mentioned?
I think just having an agreed upon template is really important. When you have a template that everyone has had input in, then it's easily understood once the data is reported. We know exactly where these numbers are coming from. What is a participant comes up way more often than you think it should. Is that 1 light bulb? Is that 25 light bulbs? That's the assumed number per house or something along those lines. So if you have an established template, then everyone's on the same page when that's reported out.
We have nothing else.
Okay. Commissioner Mayfield?
No, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Regan? No, thank you. I don't have questions either. Any redirect?
Redirect.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a good idea to go ahead and conclude that before lunch then. Any reason this witness can't be excused?
No, Chair.
Thanks, ma'am. Thank you. All right. I don't think we had any exhibits that we need to deal with. Okay, final order is due September 17th. Staff, can you issue summary of your request for additional information by July 6th?
Yes.
Okay. And if she does so, will July 13th be adequate to respond? Is that a little short?
It might be, in large part because it's a lot of what I've tried to keep track of all the various things that will require a lot of coordination with a third party to get that. And if they're around and available that first week of July, then it shouldn't be a problem. But if not, I don't know, maybe the 15th might give us another couple days in case we need to bleed into the next week to get some information. If that's,
Any objection to the 15th?
Yeah.
15th it is.
all right, thank you.
And if you have trouble getting some of them, get us what you can and an explanation of when we can get them.
Of course.
Briefing, if desired, simultaneously by, I had July 17th, but if you're responding by the 15th, let's see, what day of the week is the 20th on?
It's a Monday.
Is that, would that work, the 20th?
We can do that if that's when you would like it.
I think we can manage that.
20th? Okay, so we're changing that one to the 20th, changing that one to the 15th, and response brief, the 29th,
Works.
Yeah.
if desired.
My birthday.
Okay.
The better way to spend a birthday.
Whose birthday is it?
Mine.
Which one?
No better. Oh, that's a state secret. 53?
No, I didn't mean which birthday, I mean which day.
I thought you were asking how old you were too.
I don't much care.
53?
Yeah.
No, we're the same age.
No.
Okay. Anything further?
No, Chair.
All right. If there's nothing further, we are adjourned.
Thank you.